It's time, Steeler Nation. It is time for this stretch of not one, not two, not three, but four straight games within the AFC North. This is what football is all about, baby. This is the challenge that comes with it. This is the push to see if you're the real deal or not. And it all starts this Sunday, our first divisional game of the season. One of the most intense rivalries in the NFL. The team that I hate the absolute most. And it is against none other than those Baltimore Pedos. I mean, the Ravens. So let's get on to this preview. Good Thursday, everybody. I am Mac. Back with another video. As always, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, follow on Instagram. Link is down in the box below. So this is my Week 11 preview between the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers going at it at Heinz Field this Sunday afternoon. So let's get on to this matchup. It's 7-3 versus 7-2. I don't need to sit down here and tell you guys about how I feel about the Ravens. I can't stand them. They're my most hated team in the NFL. When it comes to my most hated teams in all of sports, they are virtually on the same level as the Philadelphia Flyers and the St. Louis Cardinals. But I think the thing that separates the Ravens from those two personally is that the Flyers lead the all-time series against the Pens, and the Cardinals have just completely dominated the Pirates. But the Steelers, despite this being a very intense rivalry, the Steelers have the all-time edge over the Ravens, and they've won 3 out of the 4 playoff matchups against them. So that's the thing that separates, how I feel about the Flyers and Cardinals, but the Ravens are right there. Let's not get that mistaken. Anyway, and I wanted to do basically the same thing that I did with the Cowboys back in Week 5 because I freaking hate the Ravens and the Cowboys. They're my two most hated teams in the NFL. I wanted to do the same thing with the Ravens, but my voice is getting a little bit better, but it's just like drying up right now. It's just draining all the mucus out of it. So I think I'm going to hold off on that for this week. I got to rest the vocal cords as much as I can. Maybe I'll do it for the second matchup, but let's get on to this preview. So we all know the freaking Ravens. Their offense is run under Todd Monken in his second year as offensive coordinator. I think the number one thing that you need to talk about with the Ravens offense is that they are the number one scoring offense in the league. They are also first in yards per play, and they are also first in red zone offense while just third in turnovers. So 2 weeks in a row, the Steelers are going up against two very careful offenses with the ball, And while a lot of people like to judge offenses by points per game, I like to judge offenses by actually what the Ravens are first in, which is yards per play, because that takes consideration into things like time of possession, and it takes count into stuff like, time of possession. So that's basically what I find to be more efficient when it comes to offense right there. And unfortunately for us, the Ravens are first in all 3 of those right there. Washington, they were another team that was very careful with, hanging on the ball, but the Ravens, they're another one there as they're just third in turnovers. And when you think of the Ravens, when I think of the Ravens, I know I'm probably going to get a lot of dislikes on this video, and I know I'm going to get a lot of heat in the comments, but personally, I don't care. The number one player on the Ravens that worries me the most for this game, it's not Lamar Jackson, because Lamar does not strike fear into me. You know why? Because every time Lamar has gone up against the Steelers, he has not had a good game. And that's my first key to victory for this matchup right here, is that the Steelers need to continue to just own Lamar Jackson. He's 1-3 in his career against the Steelers with 4 touchdowns, 7 picks, and only a 58.7 completion percentage against the Steelers. Yes, I know. Lamar is a dynamic player. He's elevated his throwing. He's elevated his decision making. He's a dynamic runner. He has really evolved as a pocket passer as well. He's easily an MVP candidate, and he's an overall winner. But despite me conceding that, yes, he is the best quarterback currently in the AFC North, and that he is on pace to, quite frankly, be an all-time great with his 2 MVPs. So despite me conceding that, nothing will ever make me change my mind on the fact that Lamar Jackson is a playoff choker and that he does not do well when the odds are against him and when his team is in a lengthy deficit. Yeah, they had that. They had 2 comebacks against the Bengals down double-digit deficits, but the Bengals offense stinks. I almost guarantee you, if the Ravens are down 10 points to the Steelers, they ain't coming back from that. That's how you beat the Ravens, and that's how you slow Lamar Jackson down. If you force him to become a pocket passer throughout the entire game, and you take away his biggest attribute of being a runner and having his mobility be the X factor, your chances of beating Baltimore are going to skyrocket. And with that, that also taking away the Ravens' engine on the offense, and easily the guy that worries me the most on the Ravens is Derrick Henry. That is who worries me the most when it comes to Baltimore's offense, is Derrick Henry. I sat down here in the offseason and I was like, well, Derrick Henry, he's on the wrong side of 30. I don't think it's going to be much of a difference for Baltimore. I don't think he's going to be a huge contributing factor. Well, he's easily proved me wrong. Derrick Henry is arguably having the best season of his career, and you can also put him in the talks of MVP as well. He could be the first running back to win MVP, I believe, since 2012 when Adrian Peterson did it for the Vikings. Derrick Henry is basically first in every running back category this season. When you think of stopping Baltimore's offense, it's not so much stopping Lamar Jackson when it comes to the Steelers. It comes with stopping Derrick Henry. And with this rush defense, I think I found the word that describes our rush defense. It's very inconsistent, because there are times when this rush defense gives up a lot of big games. They can't close a lot of holes for the other team's offensive line, and they're just not being able to finish tackles. But you take a look at the rush defense that we have, and we have held some of the top running backs in check, like we did against Bijan Robinson against Atlanta in week 1, like we did against former Raven J.K. Dobbins in week 3 against the Chargers, like we did at times against the Dallas Cowboys in week 5. But you also take a look at matchups like we had against the Colts, where Jonathan Taylor had a big game against us. You take a look at the big runs that the Cowboys had against us. You take a look at a game like week 8 against the Giants. Singletary had some nice runs against us. But then again, we can also stop the run at times as well, which is why we were able to hold Breece Hall in check at most of the time back in week 7 against the Jets. So this run defense, you never truly know what to expect from it. And I think the one guy that I want to have be the biggest playmaker on this defense, I think you know where I'm going with this. It's number 6, former Raven, Patrick Queen. He's been licking his chops all season about going up against his old team, more specifically stopping Derrick Henry. I want Patrick Queen to be the biggest X factor on this defense in this week. Queen is coming off a phenomenal game. I would say his best game as a Steeler last week against Washington, where he had only 6 tackles, I believe. But 4 of those 6 tackles were for negative yardage. Now, obviously, stopping a guy, a locomotive like Derrick Henry, is going to be a very tall order because Derrick Henry, he's very hard to tackle. He has that burst ability through pockets and through offensive lines. So that's going to be a tough task right there. But with Cam Hayward stepping up to the reins and with Keanu Benton being able to be a good, solid run stopper, it's going to be a test for Baltimore as well. Because like I said, there are times when this run defense is capable of holding some running backs in check. You know, and I know Steeler fans can sit down here and be like, well, Cam Hayward's all washed up and old. Cam Hayward doesn't have it anymore. Well, let me tell you something. Cam Hayward is still being very productive, and he's still showing that he's got a few miles left on that machine right there, and that he has been capable of stopping the run. And TJ Watt's been doing that as well with stopping the run too when he's not causing pressure on the quarterback. Okay? Cam Hayward is basically our Terrell Suggs. Yeah, remember that name? Terrell Suggs from watching the Steelers Ravens from the 2000s and most of the 2010s. That's what Cam Hayward is. He's finding the fountain of youth in his mid-30s. He's become our Terrell Suggs. Well, except that Cam Hayward isn't a deadbeat father because he still lives with his wife and he actually cares about his kids, unlike Terrell Suggs. But all jokes aside, this run defense needs to step up big time in this game here, and that's my second key to victory. Winning at the line of scrimmage is huge in this game because I'm always an advocate of football is won in the trenches, and we're going up against a Ravens offensive line that does not give up a whole lot of sacks, and they're very good with protecting the quarterback, and they're very good with keeping Lamar in the pocket. So the run defense, the defense here can't let Lamar escape from the bucket. They can't let that bucket leak, and they have to win at the line of scrimmage. And the other way goes around as well. Steelers have given up a lot of sacks lately, and that cannot happen here. I'm not scared. I am not scared of Baltimore's defense. This is the first time I could sit down here and say, probably since about, I would say 2015, that I can sit down here and say that I am not afraid of Baltimore's defense. Because when you think of the Ravens, they're like us, you know, and that's why Steelers and Ravens fans always butt heads with each other, because they're two franchises that are very proud when it comes to defenses. But the Ravens defense this year has been atrocious. They're bottom tier in just about everything. They're 25th in points per game this season, 26th in yards per play. They allow a lot of chunk plays. And in 3 of the last 4 games, they've allowed 29 or more points in 3 of their last 4 games. And our offense, I'm just saying it, our offense is better than Baltimore's defense with Russell Wilson. With Russell Wilson as the quarterback, the Steelers are 3rd in points per game, 13th in yards per play, 25th in the red zone. Sure, that's shaky, and that can definitely be better. But I would take our sloppy red zone offense over Baltimore's bad defense any day of the week. And we're fifth in turnovers as well. This is another offense that takes care of the ball well. Yes, I know the arm punt interception that Lamar had, or that Russ had against Washington last week, and that fumble. But that was Russell Wilson's only interception so far, and there was a controversial call on that fumble at the one, looking back on it. But really, when you look at it in a nutshell, the Steelers, they do take care of the ball very well. That's my third key to victory. Do not lose this turnover battle here. You lost the turnover battle against Washington. You can't lose the turnover battle here against the Ravens. So there you go with it right there. So then you take a look at some of the other weapons that the Ravens have. Isaiah Likely, their tight end, he is questionable for this game. I believe he's been dealing with a hamstring problem. But then also you got Zay Flowers, who's becoming a really good number one for them. You got Rashad Bateman. You got longtime favorite Mark Andrews also at tight end. And you got Justice Hill at running back as well. So they have a really good triple threat when it comes to the ground game right there. And for as much as Mark Andrews is a good target for the Ravens, Steelers have held tight ends in check really well. And I'm not even going to bring up Deontay Johnson. We all know Deontay Johnson's trash. I know that he probably wants to have a revenge game on the Steelers like Patrick Queen wants one against the Ravens, but I am not afraid of Deontay Johnson whatsoever. All he's good for is route running. His catching ability sucks. And when he actually does catch the ball, his IQ drops to single digits because he runs backwards. I've been watching that dude for 5 years. He's trash. And I'm so glad we got rid of him. Total waste of money that we wasted on him back in 2022. But yeah, that's basically the Ravens offense right there. They're very good with protecting the ball. They spread the ball around. They attack you on the ground. And they are evolving into rocketing the ball downfield as well. Defensive side of thing for the Ravens, like I said, they're a bottom tier defense. They are very aggressive when it comes to their 3-4 base under Zach Orr, who Ravens fans want fired. I think it's justified right there. I just like watching see him squirm about that. They are just terrible. They are just not the same defense as they were with Mike McDaniel. I can cut him a little bit of leeway because Kyle Hamilton's been dealing with an ankle injury, but one guy isn't going to fix your entire defense right there. This Ravens defense has given up a ton of big plays this season. And you take a look at and Michael Pierce, I think he's been dealing with a calf as well. But you take a look at the Ravens, it's basically more of the same. You got Marlon Humphrey, you got Justin Matabuki, if I'm pronouncing his name right. I'm terrible with names, but then again, I really don't care. Then you got Asafe Awai on the edge, pairing him with Kyle Van Noy. You got Nate Wiggins in the secondary right there. So they do have some standouts on defense right there, but like I said, it's just the big chunk plays that the Ravens have allowed. And despite that, they are good at stopping the run, and they do cause some kind of pressure. Those are the only good things that I have to say about the Ravens defense right there. So, key to victory number 4, the chunk plays. Got to take advantage of that. I do not see this being a defensive game whatsoever because Baltimore, they are just a scoring machine on offense. And with the way that our rush defense and the way our pass defense has just been very inconsistent over the past couple weeks, I just don't see this being a defensive game like it's been in years past with these two. This might be the highest scoring game ever between the Steelers and Ravens this Sunday. It may be a different version of this rivalry. So that's definitely a key to victory. You got to get the big chunk plays against the Ravens here. You got to toast that defense that they got. Because like I said, we're third in scoring offense with Russell Wilson as quarterback. And Najee Harris, I don't see him being a factor in this game. Hate to say it, but I just don't see it because, like I said, The Ravens are good at stopping the run. Najee was a little quiet against Washington last week, but I will cut him a little bit of slack because he was hurt in that game. But still, I would be very surprised if Najee Harris was a factor in this game. And then, looking at the matchups overall on offense, I think it does favor, and I think it does lean in our favor right here. George Pickens against Humphrey, I'm not too confident about that one because Marlon Humphrey is a very good lockdown guy, and he is able to come up with a big play. Against a guy like George Pickens, where, yeah, Pickens is good with 50-50 contested catches, but I just don't know if I can trust it fully to be in George Pickens' favor right there. But the other two matchups, I think definitely lean in our favor. Mike Williams against Stevens, yes, I like that matchup right there. Williams is a good 50-50 guy as well. Stevens has given up a lot of big plays this season. I like that matchup right there for us. And then CA3 against Wiggins, I also like that matchup as well. CA3's speed is always an X factor. His route running ability is always an X factor. And then putting him in the slot for the time being when Roman Wilson is out with an injury as well, I think that's a good key right there. So 2 of the 3 matchups on the offense right there, I think lean in our favor because Baltimore's going to put all the focus on our biggest playmaker, which is George Pickens. So I like the offense. I like our receivers going up against their secondary right here, with Baltimore giving up a lot of chunk plays and with our receivers being able to make good plays themselves when they actually do catch the ball. You take a look at our defense right here. This is basically going to be a litmus test to see how this defense truly does against rush and passing defenses because we are second in points per game this season defensively. We have done very well with keeping opponents off the board. We are 10th in yards per play, 4th in red zone defense. So this is going to be a big challenge for our red zone defense right here. 8th in turnovers, and in 7 of 9 games this season, we've allowed 21 or fewer points. The only times we've allowed more than that was against the Colts and last week against Washington, when we gave up 27 points respectively. We are 1-1 in those types of games. So basically, if you look at the trends, it predicts roughly a 27-24 win for the Steelers, actually, because the Ravens average 32 points a game. We average allowing 16 a game. So, 24 is right in the middle of there. And then you take a look at us. We are averaging scoring 27 a game, while the Ravens are averaging allowing 27 a game as well. So that's 54 right there. So the trends predict a 27-24 win for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But then again, it is Steelers-Ravens. Just about anything can happen. And then just a couple more things I want to mention right here. My 5th key to victory here is that long drives are crucial in this game, okay? You got to eat up as much of that clock as necessary. The Ravens, they eat up a lot of the clock as well with running it with Derrick Henry and when Lamar Jackson can use his legs and he has the time to work with it. You got to fight fire with fire right here. For as much as I want that chunk play to happen, early on, I want to see the long drives happen. Tire out that defense and then go for the knockout blow with the chunk plays. And finally, in order to stop this Ravens offense right here, you got to put a spy on Lamar Jackson. So you're going to be using a lot of your base personnel in this matchup right here. I want to see a guy like Preston Smith have his opportunity to go in this one as well. I want to see the new Steelers make an impact in this game, okay? So looking at the matchups potentially, you got JPJ going against Zay Flowers. Based off the game that JPJ had last week against Washington, I'm not too confident about that matchup right there because JPJ had a lot of penalties and he got beat on a lot of plays as well. I don't know if I like that matchup. You got Dante Jackson potentially going up against Johnson. I like this matchup right here. I think Dante Jackson is making a very big splash for the Steelers defense here. Beanie Bishop, putting him in the slot and him going against Bateman. I like Beanie Bishop in this matchup right here. And then, of course, I think it's just a total mismatch on the offensive line right here, where you got TJ Watt going up against their rookie right tackle in Rosengarten. And I think the only thing that worries me gratefully about our defense is that Highsmith is going to be out several weeks with an ankle injury. Um, I didn't see the injury report on it. I'm hoping that it's just a high sprain, which is just best case scenario for that. But I didn't get a chance to look at the injury for Highsmith. I think Herbig is healthy enough to play for this game. So we'll see. But if Herbig is healthy to go for this game, I think that's huge for us. I like Herbig. I think he's a really good substitute for Highsmith. But yeah, that right side right there, TJ Watt against their rookie right tackle. TJ has to just devour that right there. Get in the pocket, stop the run, and pressure Lamar. Okay. And put a spy on him right there. And like I said, I want that spy to be Patrick Queen. So, yeah, that's basically it. This is a matchup that is going to be unlike any other. Ravens Steelers is typically known for low scoring affairs, hard hitting defensive standoffs. I don't see that being the case this week. I think this is going to be I think it's going to be a high scoring game. It has all the potential to be a shootout, in my opinion. But I'm telling you this right now. If you get in a deficit against this Ravens team, I don't like our chances of coming back in this one. Okay. I don't know. I mean, just with the errors that we've had on offense lately, with not finishing up drives, turning the ball over, penalties, you can't make those kind of mistakes against the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, I am very confident that we can win this game based on the fact that Baltimore's defense is just absolutely putrid and that our offense has been steaming hot lately. But you can't leave points off the board against the Ravens because unlike Washington, Baltimore is a division rival. We play these guys twice a year, and who knows? We could even play them a third time come January. So do not create any kind of negativity against these guys. Do not beat yourself. Okay? You get the chunk plays. You tire the defense out early and go for the knockout blow with the chunk plays. You have that killer instinct. You have that aggressive personality on offense like you've had over the last month or so. You spy on Lamar Jackson. You get physical with Derrick Henry. Patrick Queen, you actually take a page out of Joey Porter Sr.'s book and back up your words on the field right there. You win at the line of scrimmage. You keep in the bucket. You do what you've done your whole time against Lamar Jackson in his times that he started against the Steelers. We walk away this game 8-2. And it doesn't get easier because while our next opponent are the Browns in Cleveland next, which seems like an easy game, it's on a short week. Cleveland and Pittsburgh is a short drive. It's only a 2-hour car drive, but it's still a short week. You got to get this dub. You got to take sole possession for first in the AFC North and do it by beating these freaking tuberculosis buzzards that I absolutely can't stand. Get them the hell off our lawn and send them out of Pittsburgh with a big fat L. And make it happen this week, guys. Fuck the Ravens, man. So let's go, Steelers. Get this job done over the Ravens. And get to 8-2, man. Can't stand the Ravens. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Mac, checking on out for the day. Have a good one, everybody.